Romain, I think a lot of people may have heard of the Monaco Foundation, Prince Albert, but they might not know all the incredible work that the foundation does. So can you tell us about the foundation?
Sure, with pleasure. Well, everything is in the name. His Serene Highness Prince Albert II created the foundation. It was, nearly 20 years ago already, because he had this ambition to make a contribution to the protection of the environment. So it's a very broad mandate because you touch upon such a large variety of topics: climate, biodiversity, pollution, access to water resources, and we operate on a global scale. So we're headquartered in Monaco, but we have 11 offices around the globe. And I think that, over the 20 years of action, what has made us successful is that we have a very holistic approach to impact. First and foremost, we're a philanthropy. So we raise some funds and we use these funds to support projects, activities that don't have economic models. So it's research, it can be groundbreaking research, it can be conservation by preserving land or marine ecosystems, it can be innovation, awareness. So this is a large part of the work that we do. But we want to do more. We have a second specificity. I think we're the only NGO chaired by a head of state. So the Prince has always been keen to lend his voice and leverage his network to progress some sustainability topics. So we had some massive wins in terms of positive lobbying, like the publication of an IPCC report on the ocean and cryosphere. We were advocates to have an SDG 14, the one dedicated to life below water. So this is something very specific to us. And there's a third pillar of activity, which is growing quite fast, and I believe this will represent a big part of the future at the foundation. It's impact investing. Because philanthropy, advocacy are critically important, but it's not enough. If you want to achieve change at scale on the long term, you need to onboard the private sector, and therefore you need to invest in companies that are driving change.
I mean, it covers a wide range of topics.
Yes.
All great for the planet, and this impacting investing piece is interesting, and we'll unpack that later. But the foundation does a lot of work on the ocean, and we've talked about the ocean quite a bit today. Why has there been such a strong focus on the ocean from the Prince?
I think first there's a specific history between the princes of Monaco and the ocean, because the great-grandfather of the prince was Prince Albert I. He was a world-renowned oceanographer, explorer. Nobody knows about that, but it was 150 years ago. So Monaco is a village, and 150 years ago, nobody knew about Monaco. It was farmers and fishers. So really having the spotlight on Monaco for the efforts undertaken by Prince Albert I on oceanography was something quite remarkable. And this has had an influence on the next generations of princes, for sure. But now it doesn't explain why we focus on the ocean. I think that there is an urgency. We're pushing the ocean to its limits, and we need the ocean for our well-being. Because when you think about that, it's our best ally against global warming. It's absorbing a large part of the CO2 emissions, producing half of the oxygen that we breathe. So we cannot do without the ocean. It's a life support system, the biggest life support system on the planet. You have some scientists say that 80% of the world biodiversity could be hosted within the ocean. So again, very important. And it is intertwined with the world economy. You have 3 billion people around the globe that depend on the ocean as a main source of food. You have entire industries that depend on the ocean, on a healthy ocean to exist. Look at the tourism industry, for instance. You have 40% of the tourism revenues coming from marine or coastal activities. Or the pharmaceutical industry, a lot of compounds find application in our medicines. So we need the ocean, and yet we continue to put an increasing amount of pressure on them, with overfishing, with heat waves, with pollution, and I will not go over the full list because it will be a long one. So you expect that a lot of funding can go to the ocean, but it's not the case. It's the least funded of all the Sustainable Development Goals, and this needs to change. So this is the reason why I believe we've had such a strong focus on ocean conservation so far.
Yeah. And through the work that I've been able to do with the foundation, I've learned so much, and my own knowledge has really deepened. And that has also led me to take action and to have more advocacy on the ocean by bringing this topic to our summit. So, the foundation has been a strong supporter of the blue economy. Can you tell us a little bit about the blue economy and your work in the space?
Yes, I'll try to keep it as short as possible because we're doing a lot, but you have to understand why we do this. When I say we put pressure on the ocean, we put pressure on the ocean because of some activities that are affecting the ocean. And this is the blue economy. When you speak about the blue economy, you speak of sectors that have an impact on the ocean and that we need to transition to more sustainable practices. When you look at food systems, again, 3 billion people around the globe depend on the ocean as the main source of food. Half of this food comes from wild catch, the other 50% from aquaculture, and none of these solutions is sustainable. Many of you maybe saw the Ocean movie from David Attenborough when you see this bottom trawler just scrapping the bottom and destroying everything. This is so, absurd. There's no more wasteful way to catch some fish, and this is leading to a catastrophe in terms of biodiversity. When you put this on top of the fact that you have most of the fish stock that is overfished, that there is massive illegal fishing, then you understand that there is a problem. And in aquaculture, it's the same thing. You think it's the solution, but it's not. You feed fish with more fish. So fish oil, fish meal, it's anchovies, mackerel. So you're directing pressure on some specific species. And when you put high concentration of fish in one place, then it comes with disease, with the use of chemicals, antibiotics that are contaminating surrounding ecosystems. So here I'm taking the example of one single sector. But this is happening as well with waste management. You see plastics everywhere. It's happening with the maritime industry that is responsible for a big part of the GHG emissions worldwide. So there is a necessity to accelerate a transition to more sustainable practices. And the good news is that this is happening for a number of reasons. There is a greater level of awareness on the ocean. There is more regulation. The BBNG treaty just entering into force. There is finally the end of harmful subsidies to the fishing industry. But what makes me most enthusiastic is to see that there is a booming pipeline of innovative companies in the ocean innovation space. Mm-hmm. It's doubling every other year. Over the past 5 years, this has been incredible. 5 years ago, the pipeline was so small. Today, it's over 3,000 ocean innovation companies out there. And this is translating into investment opportunities for asset owners. And this is really a game changer because today, the ocean is an investable asset class. You can drive much more capital into that direction. And therefore, you can really power a transition to more sustainable practices. And what we do at the foundation, we've been investing as an asset owner into all these funds, well, not all, but the best ones. As we want to walk the talk, we decided to launch our own fund, the ReOcean Fund. So we did a partnership with Monaco Asset Management, and there's an asset manager from Monaco, and we aim at raising 100 million euros that will be directed to 15 to 20 companies in the blue economy. And an important aspect on this is that you don't need to make any compromise between impact and returns. You can actually have both. And by having this philosophy, you can really attract traditional investors, but are not philanthropists. They don't want to put patient capital. They don't want to make any concessions. But if you respect this promise of delivering impact and returns, then you can get massive pools of capital flowing into what is the right direction. So to cut a long story short, and sorry about that, investing in the ocean is not only the right thing to do, it's also the right time to do it.
Yeah, and congratulations, because this week the Prince rang the opening bell at NASDAQ.
Yes.
And there was an exciting announcement.
Yes, well, it's a good milestone because we raised $73 million so far on our $100 million target. So 73 million, it's not yet the target, but we have still a few months to get there. But we were very happy to celebrate it at NASDAQ, which was a perfect platform to give us some visibility.
Amazing. And I know we have some investors and family office in the room, or maybe listening to the recording. So that's very exciting news. With a couple minutes left, how can the private sector engage in this space?
Well, because it needs to. I would say that we need the private sector. Without the private sector, none of this can work. So large corporates, of course, need to. I heard a lot about the new regulatory frameworks like CSRD, TNFD. Well, it's enabling the space to progress to more sustainable practices, but this needs to be taken in very seriously. Very often, we see that these efforts are belonging to marketing budgets. So, I mean, we need to put the chief sustainability officer at the center of the attention when it comes to taking some strategic decisions. I think it's critically important. And when you speak about the private sector, you speak also about the financial institutions. You speak about the asset owners, the asset managers. So we need more asset owners understanding the magnitude of the challenge and also the universe of opportunities that is emerging from it. And we need asset managers to be very creative in designing solutions that are making no compromise between impact and returns.
Wonderful. Thank you for the amazing work that the foundation is doing, that you are doing, and really awesome to have you here today, Romain.
Thank you very much. Thanks.